investigators at the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, headquarters in Kiambu. The badly decomposed body was found under a mango tree by neighbors and the police, who had to clear bushes on June 20th. And as our investigative reporter Francis explains, the DCI homicide investigators are yet to verify a video made by Caroline Jerry, the granddaughter, that is allegedly done to the uncle, or who happens to be one of the sons of the deceased. Jerry, of course, made this particular video. We'll run you by that story shortly, but it's a very heart-wrenching story on how we're treating our elderly in this country. Let's just listen to that particular story as we pick the brains of our panelists.
The investigations into the death of Njeri has now been taken over by homicide investigators from the DCI headquarters. The investigators have a task to connect the badly decomposed body found under a mango tree by neighbors and the police, who had to clear bushes on June 20th. Caroline Njeri, who was the first family member to enter her grandmother's house on the day she was discovered dead outside her home in Thika, landless area. The investigators at the same time wanted to verify from the granddaughter the authenticity of a video released on Wednesday showing inside her grandmother's house at the time of her death.
Well, this is Shosho's bedroom. I think you can see how messy it is. And all the sockets have been knocked out.
Njeri was also said to be very close to the grandmother and was a more frequent visitor than his uncles. The family first had an informal meeting with the investigators, where the police briefed the investigators on the history of the family and some of the deep-seated issues that saw retired teacher and businesswoman live a solitary life in her home.
This looks like foreplay. I don't think Shosho will ever destroy her telly like this. Electronics are gone. The microwave is missing. This is a sideboard.
The Thika DCI investigators' preliminary investigations reveal that Njeri, 82 years, could have died of natural causes while alone at her Thika home. Some family members have, however, disputed these findings and have been pushing for the investigations to be moved from Thika DCI to the headquarters. Close sources to KTN told us that the homicide investigators are following different narratives provided by family to unravel the murder mystery. The investigators are waiting for the report from the government chemist to confirm if the samples presented to them, including bones, are human body parts. Odi Francis, KTN News, Nairobi.
A very heart-wrenching story there, and still being investigated by the police officers. I just wanted to maybe just broaden the discussion as well, and you might want to grab a copy of the Standard this morning just to get much details. And there is a special report on page 6 of the Standard, Granny's keen quizzed on puzzling death. Maybe to just begin with you, Dr. Green, you've read the story, you've watched the videos, you've also seen some of the stories of how elderly are being treated on BBC as well. Where is the society when we're looking at the social pillar, and where we're looking at the elderly and how they're being treated as well in this epoch of time that we are in? Issues of stipend has not been, very streamlined. Sometimes it's there, it's missing, but especially this particular death, where even after 90 days, she continued to receive M-Pesa money. The son had not seen the mother for those particular 90 days. There's such a disconnect. Sometimes also children and their parents, even our grandmothers, we tend not to visit them, our elderly. Let's just begin from there.
Heart-wrenching is not enough in what we are seeing out of the stories that have been going through the media in the recent times. You remember, it is just the other day we saw a story of a 90-year-old who has been chased away from her home by her grandchildren. It is just the other day that we also had a situation of BBC covering the PCA, the Goto home, and how the elderly are being mistreated. And here we are of a 90-year-old who has been, 84-year-old who has been neglected to death, and so many. It just brings out the wrongs, the ills in our society, that we do not honor our parents, and therefore the result, even as in the Bible, is the same. And there needs to be a way that the government, because there are relevant institutions that are able to match what is supposed to be done. But the question is, how many are they going to take care of? How many people are in the care homes that you can be able to deal with? It's a societal challenge that we need to deal with, that we are fearing, we are running away from our responsibilities, that we are neglecting our parents and therefore the old, because it can't. I mean, I watched the BBC story, I couldn't help. My tears were just running out. And I must compliment and congratulate media houses, people, individuals who are making such reports so easy and in a way that they should be done. But it should be deeper. What is happening to our society? Because it is beyond just the care of, I mean, if these old people here don't have their children, or they have not invested in that, and it's a situation that you can easily find yourself in, and we need to pray, and prayer is not enough. We need to act. Action must be very specific. It is the investment of what we are doing in our society that needs to count with this.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Awan Manyora.
Yeah, I was sometimes back. I was commissioned by one of the counties in the country, a consultants, to do a study on the elderly. It was together with the PWD and orphans. But while doing literature review, I found that France and China had gone through similar instances like this. I think it is France where, after some harsh winter, many old people are found dead long after they had died, because of the harsh winter. And they had been neglected. Children don't visit the old. I think it's quite a while back, more than 6-7 years ago. I don't know whether I'm right, but I think there was some law that was passed in those two countries. There's one in China, I think, and one in France. Basically because of the same. But this is basically the testimony of what is happening as we are all rushing after what we are calling civilization. Parents are spending all of us are spending all the time chasing money. We have no time for our families, for our wives, for our children. And the only point we would need to remember is that after all the struggle Kiru has gone through, you get to like my age now and you begin to see what Solomon was saying. It's all vanity. There is vanities. All these things we die to have. You even kill your competitors to make profit or to get promotion. You spend all your time away from home making money and trying to build your career like a lawyer. When you get to my age, you realize it's all useless. It's all vanity. There's nothing. I think, therefore, let's try and be Africans a bit. We are running away from being Africans. We are thinking it is so great being westernized. I have seen even weddings, when children are having weddings. It is so modernized, so westernized. Even the joy of our parents taking part in the wedding has been removed from the whole arrangement. They take these exclusive places. There's one in Gigiri, there's another one two in Karen, I don't know where. Invite only 100, no presents. If you want a present, they direct you, don't bring a fridge, we have this. Then leave them in the supermarket and bring a voucher. This rushing to be modern is a waste of time.
What's wrong with that?
So basically, all what I'm saying, because of that,
Good life.
that old woman at home who gave birth to Manyora has not seen her. Okuman is dead. You know, you don't even know your mother is alive. Your father is there alive. You never visit them. If you are kind now, those kind ones, good ones like Allah, they send money. Money can't replace you. So I think we should advise each other. We don't need a law for this. I don't think we need a law, but I think it is time for reality check. Let us try and also think about ourselves.
Indeed.
What are we going to be another 10, 15, 20 years? Let me tell you the bar as I wind up. If we go the way we are going to move our parents and us, like in my age, we are going to be moved into old people's homes faster than you may imagine. In another 10, 15 years.
That's where we're
Sisi
headed.
wote tutakuwa kwa old
What
people's
is wrong
homes.
with that?
Yeah. And you've seen the way also the PCA Togoto has been
it's
treating
not
the old women.
Allah
that,
is saying what's wrong with that.
yeah, a church organization where we saw all the
A man
elderly.
must, I want to tell Allah is saying what's wrong with that. A man must live for something. Something must count. One of the things you live for is your children. To see your children grow to become good people. Okay? The children too must live for something. To see their father, Dr. Green here, live a happy old age. I mean, you must live for something. We are not animals. Yeah.
Dr. Martin Olo.
You know, Dibal, I am awake. I'm awake. I want to confirm because he seems to be thinking I'm still asleep.
Yes. Welcome.
The society is changing, Dibal, and realities are here. Some of the things we are seeing today haven't just happened, they have been happening over time. He is making a lot of noise. The people who go to the village have remained like him because first of all, he doesn't even believe in taking a flight. He believes in driving to the village. He goes there with nothing, but he comes out with so many things. He comes with bananas, he comes with potatoes. He actually loots the village. and that's the 2,000 bob. And then he says, I have helped the villagers. So these villagers are also interested in having an understanding that life is changing. Today, the people who could afford to go maybe up country very regularly can't because of cost of living and so on. And because of circumstances and because of lifestyles, it is not out of sight to even imagine that we're going to have to look at different ways to take care of our old people. I had the privilege of taking care of my dad. My dad died at 97 years. But for about 20 years, and by the way, we were many of us. There were many of us. He had 3 wives, and therefore we were many. But for about his last 20 years, he was like my responsibility as a person. He was sick. Whenever he was sick, I would take him to hospital, and whenever he needed help, I was available. Not that there were no others, but others did not think he was available. He was around. So the circumstances are that for some reason, if you are lucky, and the way these days people are doing it, you want to have 2 children, and then they all want to go to America. So once they've gone to America, you will never keep up. You remain here. They'll send money they believe will take care of you. And they'll give you a worker to take care of you, and that may not even work. So that replacing family is not going to be easy. So the bottom line is that we have to accept that things are changing. Our own lifestyles are changing. When Herman was talking about weddings that are exclusive and weddings that are invites only, there's nothing wrong with that. He's mourning village issues where you take a wedding to the village and everybody comes and they bring you furias. They bring you furias and sometimes nothing. So these kids of ours don't want it to be taken to the village.
They don't want duplication.
No,
they have a lot of
they have already
thermos flasks.
Yeah. So why do you bring them to furia? Everybody brings glasses.
Clocks. Yeah.
So they tell you vouchers that if you want to get us this, get us that, get us. That is the modern society, Herman. The one you are still reminiscing, it has gone. And so when you think of vanity, you have reached the place where Solomon reached. But for him, he had achieved everything. He had concubines, he had wealth, And he realized none of those things are, for me, I'm still looking for those things.
You're looking for them?
I'm looking for money, still trying to see how I survive after when I'm 90. So I'm thinking about those things. I want to reach like Mheshimiwa Kirwa here, where, you know, when he wakes up in the morning, he takes a newspaper, he reads, he goes and looks at cows, they are milked, he has about 100 liters. Then when he put a pesa too, and then he can come to the show here in the morning. After this, he goes, takes tea, and he sleeps. He takes time. You know, he's busy.
No, he's working on his thesis. What do you mean?
It's actually that laziness that is making him not work on his thesis, because he's taking life so easy. Nothing is pushing him anymore. So today I was planning not to be tough with him. When I'm in a suit, I'm a bit nice. I don't want to attack him.
I wanted just to also bring maybe this aspect where we have the elderly still, because we are talking about housing. And it has been also, maybe even when you're doing your study, the structure of the houses that you've built, sometimes they're not really amenable for the elderly.
Upstairs,
we have upstairs and the 3-story houses and the stairwells as well. How then do we, even as we are trying to streamline housing, the project itself, are we taking cognizance of the elderly? That sometimes will not be able to trip up the stairs as well.
Has just converted his garage into a bedroom now.
He's converted.
He's the only one which is available down the ground floor. He can't go up.
He can't go up. So those are some of the things you never think as a young man. Sometimes when will you be still?
Our professionals should be thinking along those lines.
They should be advising, yes, and telling the elderly as well, because there are many injuries of the elderly. When it comes to the housing that they're living in, they cannot. It's not very suitable for them as the age.
We do have a national policy. We
do have a national policy
on disability, because the national disability policy requires that we think through in commercial, residential, educational, and so on. The thing that we now need to do is to push all professionals involved in the sector to think it through. And as you said, when I was building my house, I was very young and I was very ambitious, and I was seeing things like steps down there, and then I was seeing upstairs.
And the streaming between.
At that time, I was not imagining that I'll reach where Herman has reached. Where if you see one flight, you don't even want to take it, because you don't know whether you'll go up or whether you'll be able to come down. But because those things come, and so we must be able to provide for them. Those steps that we put, very nice in terms of
accidents in the washrooms as well.
In the washrooms. So we are suffering our status is such that we are now suffering because of failing to take care of some of these things. But that said, it's a development. Every society gets to a level where it sorts itself because of the circumstances it finds itself in.
Indeed.
You see, as I said earlier on, some of these issues come up so that it is a warning for us. It is a responsibility of every individual to take care of their parents. But taking care is also relative. Because if you as a parent, you did not invest in taking care of your children or taking care of the society or doing something, there is what will follow that is almost obvious. But we are now talking of deaths. We are talking of people who are being beaten by the people who are supposed to be taking care of them. But there is a bigger group of people who are dying because of stress. They are not being taken care of. They are not being given the medication that they are supposed to be getting. They are not being supported by anybody. You can imagine how many people are suffering from these lifestyle diseases, and at that age where you need medication, insulin here, some pressure medication, and you have no money, and people around you have no money, and the money that is being given to you, ile pesa ya wazee, it ends up just being used in a different way. Sometimes you need to even imagine how we can create KEMSA or recreate KEMSA, and even maybe divert some of the money to be able to avail medication for these old people at the right places and doing the right thing. These are things that we need to start thinking, but it starts on being responsible. What are you doing to others? Just like the Bible will say, do unto others the way you would want them to do unto you. We have people who have real issues with their parents, real issues. They feel that they were neglected, so they feel nothing when they don't care about that. But then, because they are there and we are going to have those kind of people, what plans do we have as a government to ensure that these people are taken care of, in as far as medication is concerned, in as far as activities that are because mainly it's about education actually. How you bring up these people, what are they supposed to do if they find themselves in such a situation. But it's so serious that one death here, another one there is not enough. We need to do deeper analysis and try and identify what needs to be done in our society.
Indeed. When we're talking about further issues, that also is very key, that we neglect them because we feel like maybe they were not really there for us when they were growing up. But I wanted just also to broaden the way I've raised the issue of the housing project and the aspect of the one size fits all cannot be admissible at this particular point. We should broaden maybe our understanding on the housing needs. Maybe an assessment should be done. The public participation, what will suit the Kenyans in terms of the housing, that it's not just maybe a story buildings, bungalows as well, taking cognizance of the elderly.
Well, it's unfortunate that our society is fast changing the way Dr. Martin Olo has said. With it is a lot of dynamics that we may find it hard to reverse. Of course, to have a storied house in the village is supposed to be magnificent, is a status symbol. But when you look at it critically, how many times, coming down the stairs is actually harder than going up the the staircase. I realize now, having built a house that have my bedroom upstairs, ostensibly to look at elevated view of your farm and look at your cows from the bedroom. But now it is becoming a problem. It's becoming a problem increasingly because, but thank God there are 2 or 3 bedrooms downstairs that I may have to relocate sooner than later. And it is also a product of our own social dynamics. Our society is getting increasingly violent and less caring. The other day I went to see a friend, not Martin Olo, in one of the estates. And I realized that the friend had not arrived home by the time. Then I saw a boy riding a bike. And when he got to the destination, almost next to the door, he was banging that bike so many times. And my reflection was, this is our society. There is a lot of violence bottled up in people. A lot of violence bottled up in society. We are violent against each other. And that's why even when you hear these talks among politicians, there is so much violence. And every day when somebody is making a statement, he does it with a lot of vigor, in a way that you realize there is a problem this person has. Compared to our brothers in Tanzania or even Uganda, their language of speech, even when they are abusing you, they are using softer words, and their voices are less harsh than we have in Kenya. The other day I saw some statistics in the paper that mental illness now is increasing. It was 25%. That is, for every 4 people, one of them has mental illness, which means
one of us here is bonkers.
Now it has gone up to 40%.
I will not confirm that on this one.
Now it has gone up to 40%, that for every 10 people, 4 of them have some kind of mental illness. It is worrying, and we need to take stock of some of this, because it tells you how society is changing in Kenya and what we need to do, what are the underlying reasons. Part of it is economic reasons, part of it is the way we've been socialized, that we don't care about the other person. And it depends, like, this village talk. In a country like Ethiopia, those people in Addis Ababa live in Addis Ababa. They don't go to the village. They don't know where their village is. Their village is in Addis Ababa. In Kenya, you find somebody has more than 3 homes. One in Kitui, one in Nairobi. Then he has bought a piece of land in Kajiado, and another one in Malindi. All these, really, at times when you take stock, they mean nothing. Of course, I have investments in more than 3 counties, but at times when you look at it, when will I consolidate? When will I get value for this?
Yes.
When will I enjoy? Yeah.
So looking back, you can say vanities of art.
Vanity is the
vanities.
same. Solomon was right.
Was right.
Yeah. And for your information, my father had 6 wives.
6 wives.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, we are
He
doing
was
well.
a strong man.
Yeah.
Any intentions?
No, I'm not
He's
declaring.
not even near us.
Okay, talking on an interesting note, because I think we're here maybe we normally come to highlight some of the ills that we have in the